SIOUXSIE greetings, and you're hollering at your boy Prue. You saw the video. You know we're doing Twilight. This one's for JEDI, and I think it's pronounced JEDI Susie. She's been a supporter of the channel. I'm trying to do this new segment where like once a month or as frequently as I can. I have a pretty big TBR. So in order to lighten the load of that, a little bit of a palate cleanser, I've decided, hey people, pick out a book you want me to read. I'm going to read it. I'm going to Prue it up. I'm going to do my best. And let's hope if we agree or disagree, we can stay friendly and positive throughout this whole thing. Also, this is Twilight. So I'm going to try to avoid I feel like a lot of people who love this book gear towards the female persuasion. And a lot of the people who hate on this book tends to gear towards the male persuasion. I'm not saying you can't be one or the other, but let's get into it. I want to talk about it because I have some pros, I have some cons. There's two characters in here, and after listening to this again, I realize there's two people who are amazingly casted in the movie, which I'm trying to kind of separate from the book. But let's get into it. Okay, this is going to be about a 10-minute or less review of Twilight, so I'm excited. I'm excited to do this. I'm excited. I didn't hate it as much. I didn't love it as much. It's just a solid pros and cons scenario. Let's get right into it. Twilight. I'm assuming you know what Twilight's about. I'm going to just take a wild fucking guess that you at some point have aware of what Twilight is. But let's say hypothetically, you don't. You've avoided it somehow. Well, you're in for a treat. Okay, so 17-year-old Bella Swan lives with her mom and her mom's new husband, Phil, in Arizona. And they decide that they need some time together. So the first opening part of the book, I imagined how unselfish Bella was. She's like, my mom and her new husband, they need some space. They need to grow to make this work. So I'm going to go chill with my dad up in Washington. And we're going to go live there for a while. And I thought, man, Bella, that is unselfish as fuck. You're going to give up you're in high school. You're 17. So you're literally about done. Now you're going to just up and root so your mom can have some more space to work on her new marriage. Dude, baller move. Good kid move. So it's kind of hot up here. So I'm going to flash the big old guns. Look at that. Oh, bearded 30-year-old man with tattoos talking about preteen vampire drama. All right. Oh, spoiler. Vampires. Okay. So Bella at her new school decides, oh, I want to get to this one thing. I love Bella's dad. I loved him in the movie, and I think that translated perfectly into book. Oh my gosh, did I like Bella's dad. Oh, I love the drinking, the fun, hey, here's some parts for plot. I delivered plot. Okay, I'm going to fucking bounce. So that was cool. But, okay, so let's get into it. You know what Twilight's about now? Bella, vampires, werewolves. You got to know what Twilight's about. And if you don't, I'm sorry. Spoilers for if you haven't seen or heard of Twilight. Okay, sorry. Okay, but let's get into it. You know how I do reviews? Characters. Okay, now, I want to do this review a little differently because I kind of do writing first. And I fucking hated Stephenie Meyer's overuse of adjectives in this book. There's a part where she's talking about being betrayed by her emotions. It's like the treacherous betrayal of my emotions. And then there's a part where she like over adjectives everything. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then at the very beginning of the book, I'm like, man, Bella's super fucking selfless. Living with her friends, going with her family, you know, just doing that for her mom. But then after that, you kind of like see the world through Bella's perspective. And Bella's kind of shallow. She's fucking shallow. Like describing her friends as too excited to talk to her. And I'm like, oh man, small town, new kid, that's a big deal. So Bella herself is kind of shallow. Also, I will say that there's certain aspects of this book that are geared towards Christian beliefs of like not having sex and having a boyfriend and being real committed and stuff. And I feel like some of these emotions that they're experiencing, they're way too young to experience them that hardcore. But hey, I'm not a fan of it, but it's like, hey, when you know, and you find your true love, you go for it, you go hard, you go quick. I always think of falling in love as like taking a bath. or going to sleep, you get in slow at first, but then all at once. This, she's like, oh, it's Edward. Wham! Love bust. Just 0 to 100. So the writing, not what she wrote. Her particular writing style, full of adjectives, I didn't enjoy. Which is odd, because H.P. Lovecraft is so adjective, and he's one of my favorites, but her particular writing style, I did not enjoy. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy the book, just the way I was told writing should be like a road. As long as you don't notice you're on a road, you're fine. But it's when you start hitting the bumps that you start having problems, and I hit some bumps. But now let's go back to it. Let's go back to characters. First of all, Bella, not a lot of character development. Bella was indeed my weakest part of the story, which is weird because it's Bella's story. I mean, but let's get to the characters I did like. Mike Newton, Captain Friendzone. Oh, I liked Mike Newton. I related to him right away. I know what it's like to be like, yo, hey, I'm the fun guy. And she's like, yeah, I'm not into it. I'm like, and then you go, then she dates the rich, popular guy. You're like, come on. I got nothing. But, you know, hey, no harm for Mike Newton. He's trying. Don't play or hate, congratulate, right, Mike Newton? All right. So I liked Mike Newton. I also like Bella's dad, Charlie, I thought was indeed a solid fun point in the book. I also kind of enjoyed the mythos around the Native American werewolves. I don't perceive them as werewolves. I call them more shapeshifters because it's something to do with their Native American Indian heritage. Sorry if that's offensive, the word Indian, but that's just how I refer to it. Please don't ban me from YouTube. So, the Native American, the Indian mythology, the North American mythology, if you will, the spirit animals. I really like that. Also, at first, there's a part where, in the very beginning of the book, not very beginning, but where Bella gets a really old truck, and she's thinking, oh, this is a shit truck. However, this is her dad buying her a car, so she's like, no, thanks, Dad, that's cool. So on the one hand, I'm like, man, I get it. But on the other hand, I'm like, man, I get it too. So Bella, so for characters, I'm going to give you a C, average. I hated your main character, and a lot of your side characters had promise but did not deliver. Okay, plot. Girl falls in love with some vampires. The plot is pretty bland, and the world building, okay, you know what? The world building did not suck. It just was not good. Give the plot a C. Give the plot a C. Because I like the world building. I like how it was in modern day times. And they just pitched a little vampire werewolf seasoning. And they had a whole society. It wasn't like, oh, they're a rare mutation. No, they're everywhere. They have a code. They have a town. I mean, there's like a vampire police. World building, I'm good. So, plot, I'll give you a C. Pros and cons. Cons was her writing style. But I think this is her first book. So, I can't really knock her for being like a new author. Because I'm recently working on my book, which is filled with spelling errors. Just terrible. Triceracop will never come out, I swear to God. But, I can't knock her for that. But her writing was indeed the weak point of the book. Also, the brooding of the brooding male character was also a bit of a letdown. But pros, I liked Mike Newton. I liked her dad. And I liked the other vampires in the clan, the coven, whatever you call it. And I had some issues with the money. Like, they're all buying new cars, but he's a doctor in a small town. So, like, you can't afford, but they don't eat, really. So, that's cool. Oh, investment. I don't know. The financial part of the vampires being super rich was weird to me. So, there's that. I did like the really bitchy sister Rosalie a lot more in the book than I did in the movie. So pros, cool side characters, and cool world building. All right, final review, final part of the book. How do I feel about Twilight? You know what? It's not as terrible as everyone thinks. I just feel like this book got way too hyped real fast. And being that the writing style was not for everybody, the overhypeness killed the book. Even though it's not a bad book, the overhypeness did kill the book. Will I continue on? I don't know. It won't be for a while if I do. We have all the whole series. I might do a New Moon review at some point in life. But I did like the side characters, and I did enjoy it better than the movie. But that being said, it is not as bad as everyone says. I see people calling this the worst book they ever read. It's not. And the world building took too long. So I think being it's almost 500 pages, if you were to cut this down to 350 pages, have a little bit better editor, maybe remove some of the over adjectives to cut down on the amount of length of the book. So turn a 500 book with too many adjectives and kind of slow pacing to a 350 book with medium pacing and lower adjectives. I think we'd have a hit. I think you would. But it's been your boy Prue, Jedi Susie. This one's for you. Thanks for supporting the channel. The next video like this I am doing will be The Deep by Nick Cutter from Sarah MG Reads. So, Jedi Susie, please comment on the video. I hope you liked it. Sarah MG Reads, your book's up next. I'm finishing Every Locked Door from Riley Sager right now. Me and Lost are doing that. And then I'll start on your book next. All right, it's been your boy Prue. Stay creepy, and thanks for watching. Also, Twilight, not as bad as everyone thinks. That's what I want to summarize in this. For my general reading and listening, mostly listening to on the Overdrive app, this isn't terrible. This isn't, everyone told me this was like one of the worst books they ever read. I seriously think that's just overhype. I think overhype killed this. It's not as terrible as you're going to be led on to believe. But also, I know people who say this is the best book. This is what got them into reading. And if that's cool, cool. That's your thing. You do you. But for me, I didn't sadly fall in love with it that way. I thought this was a good YA romance that had some stuff that I didn't agree with. But I thought it was cool that Stephanie Meyer, I can tell she poured a lot of herself into this. So that's cool. And also, I think these covers are awesome. That's why I included the whole set in the video. But it's been your boy Prue. We're on 12 minutes. I gotta cut it short because I'm trying to fill another video tonight. But so, Twilight, I'm going to give it a C. You know what you're getting into if you do it? It's very YA, and it's very poorly written, but the payoff is kind of worth it because the side characters are cool, and the world building's kind of fun. But I like vampires, and I love werewolves, so deuces.